So right now we're using a bunch of files that we have from our CDN. And let's just take a look at them. All these are coming in our index.html. We're going to be able to get rid of them all. In fact, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to get rid of React, React DOM, and Axios. And our app should be running. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to refresh this. Now I'm going to get an error because React was there as a global variable, which is not a great practice. It works, but it's probably not a good thing to do. And one of the things I could end up doing is that if I go back to my app.js file, and we'll separate things out a little bit, but not quite yet, I'm going to end up importing React from React. And I'm also, because again, I'm using my React component here, this is going to end up rerunning. And well, actually, it won't quite rerun. If I go over here, I'll get an error message. It's going to say you can't find React. But one of the things I could do here is I could end up installing. Again, this is just going to be used on the client side. So I'm going to be able to put a save dev here. And this will end up rerunning. And I'll go over here. And I'll say, wait a second, you don't have React DOM. So I'm going to go over here. Again, you have to look at what the naming is for this. But we could get our React DOM from React DOM. Again, it's not installed. So if I went back over here, it would tell me can't resolve it. Same thing here. Again, a save dev. This will end up rerunning. And I'll get one more problem that it doesn't know what Axios is. Again, same thing. Again, these are just installed in our node modules folder, and it's grabbing them from our node modules folder. And I'm going to bring in Axios from Axios again. This will end up dying. And again, unless I'm using Axios on the server side, I could just install it here, save dev. This will end up running again. And now I've gotten rid of all my CDNs. And the last thing that I'm going to do here, and I'm just going to do it with my list component, is I'm going to go over here and say I want to import list from /list. Okay? So this is a little bit of a different syntax. It's not the require syntax. It's a different way of doing the modules where here, again, we don't need the require here, but it's going to look in our node modules folder, similar to how node works. When I have the / there, I'm going to get an error. Well, I'm going to get a different error that's going to tell me you're declaring this already. I'm going to take this. Now it'll tell me it can't find list, but now this gives me the ability to separate these things out. And in list.js, I'm going to paste this. And one of the things that I could do, I'm going to say export default. We could find that we could do named exports, but this is basically saying, hey, by default, if you just end up requiring me, not requiring me, importing me, you're going to end up getting list back here. And now it'll end up finding this. The only problem that you're going to run into is that it needs to have React in every component. So you always have to go up here and import React from React. Right, just to show you that one more time, let's go back here and get this to run. We've got our list out. Let's also do the same thing. Again, this is a little silly here, but it'll work. Let's actually take our title out, which is here. Again, not big enough to take out here, but let's actually just do it anyway. So here, again, I've got to export default title. Again, a little bit of a different exporting language. I've got to import title from, again, it's mine. It's in this folder. Again, I run into that same problem. Doesn't know what React is, and that's true because, again, it has to know within this import React from React. And now I'm back in business here. So you're seeing how Webpack gives you the ability to basically have code that you can end up modularize, and it'll end up getting packed together. In the end, it's going to be a very big file. Just to show you, if I go over here and I say cat assets app.js, this is quite a big file that's here. And there are ways to make it smaller and that sort of thing. The only other thing that I just want to add real quick is if I look at my status, I'll see my node modules folder. I don't want that to be in there, so I'm going to echo node modules into my git ignore, which doesn't exist yet. Okay, but even with that, there's no reason for my app.js file to be part of my repo. Just no reason for it. It doesn't make any sense because, again, that's something that ends up getting compiled. And it could be a real mess if you put that in your repo. You don't need it. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm also going to end up echoing, and this is going to be assets. Again, you could call this stuff whatever you want to call it. App.js also into my git ignore file. Now if I look at the git.status, right, since that was the only file that was in there, it actually takes out the whole folder. But that's fine, and then I could commit.